Hello and welcome to Thor's Hammer, brought to you by BikeFans.com, a show where we get to sit around and talk about our favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings. I'm your host, Viking Bob, and I'm sitting in my basement drinking Long Island iced tea. I'm going to send it out to Arizona first this week and see what OBM's drinking. What's up, brother?
How's it going, my man? How's it going? Just sitting out here in beautiful, rainy Arizona and sipping on a little Jack Daniel's whiskey, little Jack on the rocks, and getting ready to watch the Wild game here tonight in LA, and we'll see if they can remain undefeated.
Rainy Arizona, huh?
Rainy Arizona. It's been raining off and on. In fact, we even had a little dust storm roll through, so it was pretty nasty out here by Arizona standards today. So, nothing like a good old Minnesota blizzard, but definitely some interesting weather for this part of the country. What's going on out there in the ATL GV?
You living the dream as always. Sitting here with another 64 because I found out if I drink this Miller 64, which is the closest thing to water I can get, I get a lot more done on Saturday, and I can drink a lot more on Sunday when the Vikings are playing. So, besides that, not much. Just, same old stuff, different day, man.
Nice. All right, the fourth member of our team hails from Minnesota, the Magic Mike Olson. Mike, how are you?
Yeah, sitting here in Minneapolis, drinking a large glass of Monkey Shoulder blended Scotch whiskey, and going to try and keep you monkeys in line today.
I swear you make up these names.
Oh, Monkey Shoulder.
It's fantastic, and the price is good, too. It is blended, so it's not a single malt, but it is delicious, so give it a try.
It's on the list. It's a long list, though, too, so hope I live long enough.
Right, right.
All right, guys, scroll into what we call Odin's Eye. We would look forward to the game coming up for our Vikings this week against the Chiefs. We normally talk about the past game, but we were on the bye week last week, and we filled that previous game in last week. So this leaves a lot of time for us to talk about the Chiefs. So, GV, all you.
This week, I think it's going to be a different Kansas City squad than what we've been seeing in the last few weeks. Kansas City, obviously, with the devastating injury they had to Jamal Charles, it's gonna change kind of the dynamic of their squad. They've lost, I believe, it was 3 games this year to the undefeated teams. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure what really to expect out of these guys this week. If you break it down before the injury or after the injury here this past week, as it stands right now, Kansas City still has the 18th ranked offense in the league. And right now the Vikings are sitting at 31. And this is as far as, yards gained. So, and that's not a good thing for Minnesota right now. So I'm just sitting there going, everyone talks about Adrian Peterson running the ball. We better start passing the ball a little bit more because, we're not going to win very many games if all we're doing is handing off all the damn time. But if you look at it overall, Kansas City's offense averages 343 yards a game on offense. We're averaging just over 300. That 300 yards a game in offense, that's nothing. That's nothing. You look at how many quarterbacks are passing over 300 a game or, weekly.
Tom Brady. Woo!
You and Tom Brady,
I knew that was coming. I saw that was coming from a mile away, buddy.
Yeah, it's seriously, we're talking. I was just saying, 300 yards passing. All these quarterbacks, we're averaging 165 yards passing a game. 165. You're not going to win many ball games throwing for 165 yards a game. Trent Dilfer, I believe, did more than that when he played for Baltimore that Super Bowl year. That's not a good deal. I don't know if it's like we were talking weeks past, if it's wide receivers, offensive line, or if it's Teddy. I don't know what it is, but we got to pass more than that, or if it's North Turner's offense that's causing this. But KC is, for as bad as everyone talks about Alex Smith not throwing TDs to wide receivers and all that, and he's finally got a couple of them now. They're still averaging 234 yards passing a game. So still, they're averaging almost, 70 yards more a game than us. passing with Alex Smith. That's not good.
At least they have some kind of receivers out there. You know, they have Macklin, who's actually stepped up this season. They have the big tight end Kelsey, who we don't have a tight end that can catch the ball lately. But you know, at least he has some targets that Jamal Charles can help out by running the ball. No matter what Aiden Pearson runs for, our receivers just can't seem to either get open, or Teddy can't get the ball to him, or he doesn't have time to get the ball to them. I don't know what it is quite yet, but our passing game is horrible this season.
Look at even our rushing game, though, Bob. It's, you know, right now everyone's talked about how great Peterson's been. We're averaging 136 yards rushing a game. Okay, Kansas City is averaging 109. It's 136 yards rushing a game, which is decent. It's still, I believe it's in top 3, top 5 somewhere in the league for average. 136 yards rushing it's still not like, wow, I can't believe that's a ton of yards. That's like, to me, that seems mediocre. That's not a very impressive number as I look at it. You know, I'm curious what, you know, Kansas City is going to do this week with Sharkandrick West taking over for Jamal Charles. I know nothing about this kid. I know this is his second year in the league, but we've got basically 12 carries to go off of, and that's such a small sample size that I can't really take a guess on how well this kid's going to do. So I wonder if I'm hoping the coaches are kind of game planning for him, because, you know, the Vikings have always had the history of whenever the new guy comes in, whether it be, you know, who was it, the old quarterback there for Sean King, I believe, for Tampa years ago. He came out, he looked like the second coming of, you know, Brett Favre playing against us in that Monday night game years ago and just blew us up. But usually these no-namers who are starting their first game look like Hall of Famers whenever they play the Vikings. So Sharkandrick West has me nervous.
Vikings have been famous for that, especially at quarterback. You know, the guy could be the most. I'm surprised we didn't make Spurgeon win look great, but I guess he played for us. It was tough. We have made plenty of quarterbacks look like Hall of Famers over the years. At least, you know, Sharkandrick West is a running back. We do okay there, hopefully. I'm hoping the defense has a dominating game. That's what I'm really hoping for. Get some turnovers, get some, you know, pressure on the quarterback, knock them down. A couple 4 or 5 sacks, maybe even a fumble from that. Hopefully our defense really, really steps up this game and dominates. That's what I'm looking for. And shortens the field for Teddy. So hopefully he can get a couple of touchdown passes. Maybe, you know, Charles Johnson, if he plays. What's his face? Rudolph, if he can get open, catch a ball or two. You know, maybe a wide open the game for us, and our offense can start gelling and moving forward. Because, you know, these guys played pretty decently last year without Peterson. There's not much different this year other than just Peterson. So why can't they get open and catch the ball? That's how I look at it.
I don't know if it's the game plan. I was saying before, at the one saving grace we do have this week as far as our passing game goes, and hopefully we get Wallace or Diggs or whomever to blow up this week. Just have someone that you look at and go, wow, there's a kick-ass game from them. Kansas City's pass defense allows 284 yards a game. That's abysmal. You know, they allow almost twice as many passing yards a game as we average. So if Teddy doesn't pass for over 200 yards this week, North needs to be fired. Not literally fired, but something needs to change, because this is obviously not working. You know, because this is a passing league right now, and an average 165. You're going against a defense that's allowing 285 basically. You got to throw some yards up. You got to pass that ball around, and you got to make connect and get guys open.
I agree. OBM, your thoughts?
Well, you know what? GV hit on some points I was going to bring up, but yeah, I think the big thing there is, Teddy. You look at Teddy. He's only thrown the ball 115 times. I know we're a running team, but to put that in comparison with like a guy like Alex Smith, who had Jamal Charles, and I think Jamal Charles had 4 less carries than Adrian Peterson so far this year, up until the injury. Alex Smith has thrown the ball a about 60 times more than Teddy Bridgewater already. We're a quarter of the way through the season with a running back who gets the ball just as much as Adrian Peterson. So, I think GV kind of hit the nail on the head here, and you did too. We need to see something out of Teddy. I mean, we're in year 2. We're reaching. We're at the quarter point. Teddy's averaging 165 yards a game. To me, in a passing league, we're 2-2. I guess it's hard to complain. I know we're a run first team, but 165 yards a game. I mean, I think my 4-year-old might be able to go out there and throw for like at least 40, 50 yards next week. So I mean, something's got to give here, and here's another scary stat that TV didn't throw out here. That's with us completing 35.4% of our third down conversions. I don't know where that ranks, but I'm guessing that's probably top 10 in the entire NFL. So to be completing third downs at that rate and still only throwing for $165 a game, something's just not coming together here. And Kyle Rudolph, I mean, we just gave that guy what, 25, 35 million? I can't remember what that contract was, but he's hurt. And, I thought this year was going to be a rebound year, and the year we're going to look at that contract and go, that was a good signing. But right now I'm looking at Kyle Rudolph and going, what is wrong with this guy? Is he not the same player he was a couple years ago? I mean, the guy was the Pro Bowl he was the MVP at the Pro Bowl. I mean, he looked like a star with Eli Manning. So, there's some things that got to come together this week. I think, like you said, you alluded to, we need to see Teddy throw for 250, 300. I mean, we need to see some improvement. Mike Wallace has over 20% of the catches on this team. I mean, who saw that coming? I sure didn't.
I didn't.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought Mike Wallace was going to be lucky to catch, 50 balls this year. I mean, right now he's on pace for 80 catches. So, AP running the ball is great, and if we're winning, it's great. But, we're 2-2. This is a game against a 1-4 Kansas City team that's reeling. I mean, Andy Reid's probably starting to feel the pressure a little bit. Charles is out. They've got a good defense. Kansas City does, but they're giving up 28 points a game compared to our 18 a game. I don't know what's going on with their defense, but they've got a couple of players on that team on defense, but they're giving up a ton of points. So this is a game where we've got to see Teddy come out. I think we need to throw the ball early and then kind of, obviously run the ball, but I'd really like to see us come out and kind of change it up a little bit and catch them off guard and maybe throw the ball. Instead of, first down, hand off the ball, second down, 4-yard pass, third down, 5-yard pass over to, whoever. So I'd like to see us take some shots down the field. They're a little banged up. They're in a hole at 1-4. It's pretty much a must-win game. It's pretty much must-win for them the rest of the season almost. So we can really, really, we should be able to come out of this game. We should be fired up. It's at home. We should win this game. And really, there's no excuses. Vikings lose this game. I said it, before the Broncos game, that was going to tell us a lot about the squad. They played tough. They hung in there. They didn't win, but they did play Denver tough. But this is one of those games, if you're a Vikings fan and they lose this game, are you really thinking about the playoffs much after this? I don't know. It's really debatable. This is a must-win game, guys.
Well, some of the points that you guys have brought up so far tonight is, Kansas City's pass defense has been horrible. Well, is it because their run defense is so good, or is it just their pass defense is so bad? Because they started the season off playing, I think it was the Packers, the Broncos, and the other Bengals. So they played like 3 undefeated teams still, and then they lost to Bears because Jamal Charles got hurt. But this team is not really that bad. They just, you play quality teams like that week after week after week, you're probably going to lose. And they haven't been getting killed. So I think their run defense is still quite strong. So they probably had some leads that teams have to pass the ball on them. So it makes their pass defense look that much worse. If you remember years ago, the Vikings run defense for a couple of years in a row was like the best in the league. That's because no one ran the ball on them. The pass defense was so horrible. Which one is it here with the Chiefs here, guys? Fill me in. OBM, go first.
Well, I'll tell you what, you are right. I mean, they only give up 98 yards a game as opposed to the Vikings giving up $1.25. And what's even more interesting, third down conversion, this is kind of a shocking stat. We're giving up 41.2% conversion rate on third downs defensively. I mean, that's pretty awful. I don't know what the rank is on that. I'm just, 41% seems pretty high to me. The Chiefs, by comparison, 38.5%. As far as their defense goes, I mean, like I said, they've got some players on their defense. They have had a tough schedule. I mean, at Green Bay, they lost by 10. At Cincinnati, they lost by 15. And obviously, losing to Chicago last week in Kansas City was a bit of a shocker. But like you said, I think that was more Jamal Charles. I think Andy Reid's got some pressure on him right now. Alex Smith, Jeremy Maclin, like you said, is having a huge year. Are we going to be able to slow him down a little bit? But, you look at the Chiefs, and I mean, they were a team that a lot of so-called experts thought were going to be a threat this year. So right now, I would say they're one of the bigger disappointments, definitely, in the AFC, if not the entire NFL. But going back to the whole quarterback thing with Smith and Bridgewater, this is really frightening. The Bridgewater has almost about 500 yards less passing already than Alex Smith. I mean, Alex Smith is not exactly a 5,000-yard-a-year guy.
Yeah, but you got to remember, he's also played one less game, though, big guy. So if
they've been behind, they've been throwing the ball. I get it, but Teddy's at 774. I don't know what that ranks. Maybe you can pull that up, TV. Well, actually, let's see here. Maybe I can quick, but
he's also played one less
774, guys. That's got to change. You just cannot have a quarterback throwing for 165 yards a game in this NFL.
Do you think
good winning?
Do you think he's throwing for the small yardage, the lack of yardage, because Norv Turner's got it locked in to be like a kind of a clock management game by running the ball? Like, just keep handing it off, keep killing the clock, keep killing the clock, keep killing the clock. Because right now, us as a squad, we average 20 points a game. Okay? And we're averaging giving up 18 points a game. Do you think that's kind of the method to the madness? Like, let's kill the clock, let our defense be out there a little bit longer, not make mistakes on offense? Do you think that's their way of masking the problems that we have on offense?
It very well might be. I mean, that's a legitimate question. I mean, when I look and see Brian Mallett's got as many yards as Teddy Bridgewater, and Brian Hoyer's got more, that is disturbing to me. So, we are a run-first team, but we need to see Bridgewater have a big week. We need to see him. I said this before the Denver game, and he almost pulled it off. We need to see Teddy lead this team to victory and not have it be so much on our run game and our defense. So that's what I'm looking for right now. Year two, you want to see Teddy take that next step, and so far, I haven't seen it. Will we see it this week? We'll find out. But, again, it's a big game. It's really almost a must-win game, and it's a team that's reeling and suffering some injuries. So we should win this game on paper. But, like we've said, every game's different every week in the NFL. You never know.
I'm hoping. My hope is this, that what I was saying about the clock management with the running game. I'm hoping that's what's happening, because Bridgewater, especially with a running back like Adrian Peterson, and with him as running the ball as well as he has been running it this year, which I'm still surprised by, hitting his age 30, but with everyone concentrating on Adrian Peterson, that should open up this passing game. It's once you concentrate on that to open up this passing game a little bit, either we should be, Adrian Peterson should be almost rushing for, averaging $170 a game, or we should be at least averaging over 220 yards a game passing. One of these things has got to give. These are pretty, 165 passing and 136 rushing. Come on. Teddy Bridgewater should have targets open, or Adrian Peterson should have big holes every time. I just don't get it.
Throw me a freaking bone here.
All righty. Guys,
Would Kyle Rudolph catch the bone? That's the question.
I agree. I agree with both what you guys are saying. It will be great going forward that when we can win the game with AD on his back or the arm of Teddy. I think Teddy's game may have regressed a little bit because having Peterson come back this year, the guy is definitely the man, meaning Peterson. They work together, but I agree with what you're saying. Teddy has to have a good ball game every now and then, only because by doing so, it really helps Peterson have a better game. Peterson should be helping Bridgewater have a better game, but we haven't seen it yet. I agree with that. You guys have any more thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I don't want to be the dead horse, but again, I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers here, and it's almost kind of shocking. I mean, Teddy is averaging about 6.7 yards per pass, and to put that in comparison to like some of the other quarterbacks out there, I mean, it's Big Ben's averaging 10 yards a pass. Pass attempt. A lot of the better quarterbacks are averaging 8, 9 yards. I'm not saying that's what's going to make him a better quarterback, but again, this is just bringing up Turner. We got Cordell Patterson. He's got two targets this year. We were talking about this a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and it seems like he's just not being utilized. Is Teddy maybe not being utilized? Is some of our passing game? Some of these guys, are we missing out on some opportunities that might be there that we're just not, taking advantage of? So I think that's what's going to be real interesting this week. I don't think Norv Turner's on the hot seat by any means, but if you look at this team right now and you look at the pieces that are in place, and yeah, we know the O-line has some issues, but defensively we're pretty solid. We got AP backs. We got Teddy, still completing, 68, 65%, whatever. I mean, so we have some good things going for us, Mike Wallace and whatnot. So it's just a matter of putting this all together. And whether or not Turner can do that and get the most out of these guys, that remains to be seen. So I think it's going to be real interesting to see what happens here. These next couple games are absolutely critical to where the Vikings, are we going to be a playoff team or are we going to be playing for a draft pick here?
Let me ask you this. In you guys' mind, GB, this is for you as well. Is Teddy Bridgewater becoming more of a game manager instead of a quarterback, a la Trent Dilfer type player? Or is it our offensive line not giving him enough time? Or our receivers have taken a step back this year? Get three options there.
I don't think he's becoming more of a game manager. I think our line is bad, and he's not really given the time all the time to get the ball off. There's been times where he's had a few seconds to get the ball off, and there's been nobody open. So there could be a combination with the receivers as well. But at the same time, you also look at the defensive backs that we played against as well that are have locked these guys down. I'm not to be the Grinch here. I'm starting to point a finger at Turner. If Musgrave was our offensive coordinator right now and the same situation was happening, people would be calling for his head. I think people are like, oh yeah, him and his index size, his business card size play card over there. But right now with Norv Turner, I'm seeing a lot of Dallas 1993 is what I'm seeing here. Without the good offensive line. So it's.
Do either of you guys know what we ranked last year in offense? I don't know. I'm sorry.
I don't have the number off the top of my head. Do you got that OBM or no?
You want the Vikings where they're ranked offensively?
last year,
Last year.
2014.
Oh, last year, I want to say they were right around 18th, 20th, right in that range. I mean, they were kind of middle of the pack. They weren't awful, I don't believe. So I think we averaged about 24 points a game, 23.
Yeah, it's
If that sounds right. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but
this year we're 31st. We're 31st in total offense this year.
are we really?
Yeah, 31st. 301 yards a game. You know, as far as scoring, we're 23rd. We can score 20 points a game. That's terrible.
If you go into
that is absolutely terrible.
If you go into the Vikings Denver game, Denver was ranked last, and they're still undefeated. You know, what's more important?
Their defense?
A win, if you ask me, but I'll take the wins.
Yeah. But Denver's defense is ranked number 1.
Yeah, so they're 1-32. We're probably somewhere. You said our offense is ranked 31st.
31st in last week when against the number 1 defense, or the last game again when we played Denver. So number 1 D against basically the 31st ranked offense.
All right, we put up 20 points against them. I'm not overly worried about what happens that on that aspect. I'm not really a big numbers guy. I care about the W's.
I understand that, but at the same time, you get down and you see where you're ranking and see what your average. You know, you look at probabilities that are going to happen here. That every week with Blair Walsh missing a field goal or making a field goal, that's the difference between a W and an L right there. You know, like I say, we're giving up 18.3 is the exact number compared to our 20 points that we're scoring. So it's 1.7 point difference. Field goal made, field goal miss is how our season is going to be. I think we're better than that. I really do. But we're not showing it.
Well, I'm quite impressed with what we have been doing outdoors at TCF Field. I mean, I think we're something like 9-3, maybe 10-3 since we play in there. So for the Vikings, people say they can't play outdoors. I think that's wrong because they can play outdoors. Can they play outdoors on the road? Can they play on the road? Apparently not. It would be nice to somehow turn around, and granted we don't have to worry about this week because we are at home. So hopefully we can win outdoors at home.
I'm just hoping this team is built for indoors or outdoors or whatever. I just, if we're gonna have 8 guaranteed or 9 with Detroit indoor games every year, I just want this team to be able just to win. Doesn't matter where. Just win. Put some points on the board. Show what we have. We're talking about Adrian Peterson once again. He's a Hall of Fame running back. Coming into the twilight of his career, we're going to blow this thing here. We have a young quarterback who's very smart, very calm. We have a couple of good weapons. We're not using this to the best of our ability. We're not. The defense is up and coming, but our offense is so lagging in so many areas that it's not demoralizing. That's way too extreme. It's just disheartening a little bit that you watch these games like this team should be doing so much more, and I just don't understand why they're not doing more.
Well, one more thing I'll throw out there since we're covering about every stat in the book here, but it's worth noting that the Vikings are 23rd in scoring, 31st in passing yards, 32nd in passing yards per game, and they're second in rushing yards at 136, like GB said. But again, you look at the yards per game and you look at the passing yards, and those go directly to Turner. And GB, again, valid point. If this was anyone else at offensive coordinator, I think we'd be hearing some, we'd be hearing the complaints, we'd be hearing the rumors, we'd be hearing the questions of what's wrong, and it just seems like Turner's almost getting a free pass here. And you look at last year, our 2 leading receivers they were Greg Jennings and Matt Asiata. I mean, how the heck did we even finish where we did with Greg Jennings and Matt Asiata 1-2 on our list of receptions. And one other thing I'm going to throw out there, guys, Charles Johnson. Everybody had a hard on for that guy last year. But the thing that scared me about him was he got hit in the hands 4 or 5 times last year and just flat out dropped the ball. I questioned his hands all season long. And right now I'm looking at Charles Johnson, and I'm looking at Stephon Diggs, and we'll see if Diggs can have a repeat performance. But Talon and Diggs and Wallace last week looked better than any combination I've seen this year. So it's going to be interesting to see if that continues this week, or, are we going to see Charles Johnson back out there and maybe a little more Jarius Wright? I don't know. But this team, like TV said, at this point, 2-2, we're still in this. We still got a shot. We still got all our, divisional games left pretty much. So we can turn this around. But I really think the pressure towards as the season goes on here, it's definitely going to turn the Turner in that offense. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Turner getting a free pass right now?
I think he is. I think a lot of people are hung up on the name recognition and what he's done in the past with LaDainian Tomlinson and Emmitt Smith, but it's kind of the new car smell is wearing off in this coaching staff a little bit. I'm still all for Zimmer. I love having Zimmer here, but Norv Turner it's gonna be a bad reference, but just hear me out. You ever seen the Brady Bunch, the movie from like the 90s? When his dad was still designing houses that he was building back in the 70s? That's what's happening with Norv Turner right now. He's still running a 90s style offense, in his 2015.
All right. Hey, guys, we have a guest this evening. I want to introduce us to all to Wetlander. Wetlander, welcome aboard.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back
doing?
again.
Hey, glad to have you back, Wetlander. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Well, if you get a deer, I want some meat, dude.
And finally got on the conference line here. Is having a little trouble.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
Well, thank you for joining us. How's the hunting going?
It was slow tonight. Pretty cold and windy, and all I saw were a few turkeys. So, gonna give it another try in the morning. See what happens.
Well, if you get a deer, I want some meat, dude. I don't want the spiced up, ground up sausage bullcrap. I want some steaks, and I will send you the money.
You can do it.
You're the man. So, Wetland, I don't know if you've heard much. We were talking about the upcoming game against the Chiefs. We've been talking about Vikings offense, Chiefs defense, Chiefs offense, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I caught some of it, and
right.
I gotta agree with OBM. I think one thing that we haven't seen this year yet is balance on offense. The big thing, I guess the biggest thing I've seen, the loss to San Francisco, we, came out, couldn't get any offensive rhythm going, ended up being really pass happy. Then, in the 2 wins that we had at home against Detroit and San Diego, we pretty much just ran Peterson most of the game and asked Teddy to make the throws that he needed to make, and for the most part he did that. And then, I thought Denver, we actually did a pretty good job of staying, pretty balanced on offense. We were throwing the ball well with Teddy Bridgewater, and he missed some throws and was a little erratic early on, but, we mixed in the run real well and stayed in the game. And then, we got a little pass heavy at the end because we had to play catch up. But, I think that's what we need to see moving forward. We need to see Norv get Teddy in a rhythm early and mix in the run with Peterson. And I said it on the board here recently in one of the threads that, I think we need to go back to kind of the game plan last year where we featured Teddy and mix in the run. We gotta get some chunk yardage, and the easiest way to do that is through the passing game. Peterson will break off some long runs here and there, but it's a passing league, and we're not going to win games when we're having Teddy throw it 18, 20, 22 times a game. He's got to be throwing the ball 30 times a game, and we got to try to get 25 to 30 runs. I think that's the way. I think that's the way we have to win.
So you're saying more balance.
that's what I'm saying. More balance. Look at what we had when 2009 when we had Peterson. Favre had a career year. We threw the ball quite a bit, but we also ran the ball a lot, and Peterson scored a bunch of touchdowns. And I think we need to get back to that. It kind of seems like this coaching staff's falling back into the Leslie Frazier, Bill Musgrave offense where, we just try to run the offense through Peterson and just ask our quarterback to do the bare minimum. And, Teddy's too good to play like that. And I think we need to get him going.
I don't disagree with you, because if he does, it also helps Peterson. Peterson should be doing his job by running, 100 plus yards a game to help Bridgewater. But if he's doing that and Bridgewater's not completing his passing part of the game, then they can key on Peterson again. I mean, we had this problem with Ponder. So
right.
Bridgewater has to step up and prove he's not Christian Ponder part deux.
I think that's where Norv needs to get, figure out, in that the first couple of drives, they script out the plays on the opening drive. I think they need to come in and, have a set of plays that Teddy's comfortable with and, get him some easy throws, get him some easy completions, kind of get him going, and then get him some confidence and go from there. And start taking your shots here and there down the field instead of trying to force it.
All right, so I'll ask you the same questions I asked the other guys. What's the reason for it not happening lately? I mean, last year, Bridgewater threw the ball a lot better than he is this year. Is it they want Bridgewater to be more of a game coordinator? The offensive line's not doing their job blocking for him, or the receivers have taken many steps back. What are your thoughts?
I think it's kind of a combination of things, to be honest. I mean, some of the play calling I think hasn't helped Teddy. We've seen he's not the best deep ball thrower, but he's very effective in the short and intermediate range of the field. I mean, if you look at the guy's splits on ESPN, I mean, it's just insane from 20 yards and in. I think he's completing 68, 70% of his passes, and and then once you get past that, then it obviously goes way down, but it does for most quarterbacks. But, he's on the low end anyways. But, I think they just need to, kind of find those passing plays and the routes and things route combinations to get him some easy completions, whether they got to kind of scheme it or, have him throw some short throws just to get going, whether it's bubble screens or, some crossing routes, something that, he's comfortable with and get him those completions. Because, I mean, we saw it, at the end of last year when he was throwing it really well. He usually started off the game hot, when he hasn't been playing well, like against Denver in the first half. I think he was only barely over 50% in the first half, and then he was 90% in the second half. He was 13 of 15, and one was a throwaway. So, and you can't discount the fact that, we've got some new receiving targets in there. Rudolph hardly played at all last year. He was in and out of the lineup with injuries. Mike Wallace's first year here, and then Charles Johnson's kind of had a slow start to the season. He's been dinged up, and the few opportunities he's had, he's had a few bad drops. So I think it's kind of a combination of things. Some new guys in the lineup that he's probably not quite as comfortable as he should be with those guys, but they'll hopefully build some chemistry as the season moves along. And we're only 4 games into the season. We got 12 more to go, so I expect improvement, but it's got to start this Sunday.
All right, let me ask the three of you guys a question here, because I'm a little bit older than most of you guys. I'm old school. The numbers that you guys keep referring to, passing completion percentage, he's 70%. Now, I go back to the days of, the 70s, late 70s, 80s, and 90s when, he had Joe Montana or Ken Anderson completing, high amount of passes, especially Ken Anderson. The guy threw, I think he had a record for the longest time for 18 straight completions or something like that. And the guy his completion percentage was astronomical, but he threw 6 yards a pass. And the Bengals weren't very great back then. But you look at other teams back then that were much more successful. Their quarterbacks were probably 55 to 58%, but at much bigger chunks. Are the numbers more important, you guys, that he throws for high completion percentage or yards per pass? What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm thinking completion percentage. I really do. Yards per pass is these days, the way that defensive rules are for the backs not being able to touch in the receivers, has made it a passing game. But at the same time, if I can have a quarterback who's passing for 5-6 yards, averaging that and throwing 30 some odd times a game, I'll take it every time because you're moving the ball down the field. I'd rather have that than 5 plays of 50 yards that are going down in a bunch of incompletions. I'll take the dink and dunk all day. It means the quarterback's finding in the open guy.
No, I don't mean the guy throwing the 50-yard bomb every time he steps back, but if he throws the ball 8, 9, 10 yards on the field and he's 58% of the time, or a quarterback who was 70% that throws for 3 yards.
Well, trust me, I'd rather have the yards at that point, but overall, you look at the guys who are, throwing for a lot of yards, they're also very accurate. Look at Aaron Rodgers, look at Tom Brady. These guys are hitting a lot more than they're missing, and they're getting a lot of yards doing it.
Well, I agree. So one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks for the years has always been Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
He's been consistently hitting 65% of his passes. He can throw the ball to his running backs out of the backfield for 4 or 5 yards, or whatever. But you can also check it downfield over the years to like Marcus Colston. Now he has Cooks and Snead. He used to have Jimmy Graham for a big 15, 20-yard pass all the time. That's the type of quarterback I would love to see Bridgewater become. He's not a strong down quarterback like Roethlisberger, but he has a little bit more to him than some of the quarterbacks out there that just, throw the ball 5 yards and pray. I'd like to see him progress a little bit better.
But I think, though, Bridgewater's throwing for 5 yards here and there is because he hasn't got the time for his guys to get open down the field. I think, he sees these guys like Stephon Diggs was getting open the other, 2 weeks ago. Excuse me, I'm keep getting screwed up with the bye week here. You have things like that, but he's not being allowed the time to sit back and look for his deep guys down the field because he's got people blowing him up or blowing up our offensive line fairly often. So when he does have time, I think, he does a lot better, obviously, like any quarterback does. But I think right now people are coming at him so fast and just, they're not worried about the passing game so much because they're going to blow up our offensive line and they're going after Adrian Peterson. So I think what's going to help him and what's going to give us better numbers for passing is going to be offensive line, and that will also, I think, his completion percentage and his yards will both go up at the same time. I just think right now that it's a double-edged sword right now for Teddy. They're trying to get Adrian more involved. Then when he goes back to try to pass the ball, he's dinking and dunking because he's getting his ass blown up.
All right, OBM, your thoughts?
Well, again, the good quarterbacks, the great quarterbacks, make the average guy look like a star. I mean, we've seen it with Brady. We've seen it with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, James Jones was about to be cleaning my pool until the Packers signed him. All of a sudden, that guy's just lighting it up again. So, the real good quarterbacks, I mean, we can sit here and say the old line sucks and this and that, da-da-da-da. But the bottom line is, it's Teddy's job to get the guys the ball. So, like what alluded to, I think we need to see some more balance. I don't think we can sit. We've thrown out a lot of stats tonight. I mean, it's been crazy, but I'd like to see the ball. One good stat that we did throw out there, I mean, they're completing 35% of their third downs, converting 35% of them. So we know Teddy can complete that 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 pass. It's just like what said, when he starts throwing the ball it's third and long, or it's, hey, let's throw the ball down the field a little bit. I mean, that guy's accuracy, that was a big question mark on him coming out of the combine, was his, down the field type passes. And he struggled with it last year, and I think he's struggling again with it this year. And, you can only blame the receiver so much, so you got to start looking at, some other things. So I'm not saying it's all on Teddy. I'm not saying it's all on the offensive line. But like we've talked about, I think it's time for Turner to really, take command of this playbook and this squad. He knows what he has in every player. And it's time to start seeing some results. I mean, it's getting to that point. Teddy's in year 2. 4 games in. We need to see him win a game with his arm, I think. And we all know that Drew Brees and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, those guys are just they developed. I mean, Drew Brees the first couple of years, his stats weren't all that impressive. So I mean, it can take 3 or 4 years for a guy to develop. The problem is the NFL's changed so much. If you're not developed by the end of year 2, guess what now? You're a backup for probably the rest of your career. So there's more pressure on these quarterbacks to perform early and often than there is in letting the guy sit on the bench for 4 years like the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers. So it is time for him to step up a little bit. It's time for North Turner to pull it together. And it's time for the Vikings to start winning some more games and get to 10-6 and get in the playoffs. So,
Well, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I think we just need to take the gloves off and let Teddy come out and win some games for us. I mean, you look around the league and the teams that make the playoffs, I mean, they're not afraid to let their, young quarterback throw. Look at Cincinnati. I mean, they had a great defense, great run game. And, Dalton's first year, they kind of, paddled him a little bit. But then by year 2, I mean, they were having him throw the ball around, the field. And I think we need to do the same thing. We got a good young quarterback. From everything the organization says about him, they love the guy. They think, I think he's the man. Well, let's let him be the man.
I agree. Let's let him be the man.
Let's have Turner open up the playbook for one game, see what happens. We all agree upon that?
Yes.
absolutely.
All righty then. So let's get some final thoughts here on the upcoming game against the Chiefs. Give me some predictions, guys. OBM, you go first.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's a game. It's in Minnesota. It's a must-win game, I think. Well, as close to must-win as you can get. You don't want to go 2-3. So, the Packers are sitting at 5-0. The key to this year is we got to win some divisional games. We beat Detroit. Can we beat the Packers? Can we split with the Packers? I mean, right now, looking at it on paper, no, we're not going to split with the Packers. We're going to get swept. But I'm holding out hope that we can play well at home, continue to improve. Like we talked about, hopefully we see that playbook opened up. I hope we come out of this game, and call me kooky, but I'd like to see us come out and throw the ball. I mean, that first drive, I'd like to see us throw the ball 75, 80% of the time. Maybe the first 4, 5, 6 plays. Let's take some shots down the field. Let's get Wallace involved. Let's get Rudolph involved. Let's throw a quick screen over to Peterson, whatever. But I'd like to see us kind of open it up just like we talked about, take some shots. And it just seems sometimes that offense is so conservative. So defensively, we've had some ups and downs there. It's going to be a tough game. I mean, without Jamal Charles there, that changes up a lot. But realistically, on paper, when I look at this game, the Vikings should win this game. Chiefs are reeling. Andy Reid's, I don't know if he's on the hot seat yet, but he's probably getting there. And I think we're going to play relatively well at home. AP should be involved. Usual 100-yard game. I'm going to go out and say Vikes are going to win this game probably 31-21. I think it's a 10-point win this week. What do you guys think?
Good, Mike. You're next up.
I think this week, as much of it as downer as some people think I've been on the squad this week, where I've picked against and been wrong, and picked for and been wrong, and I got to pick the Vikings this week. I just think Kansas City has too many problems going on right now. I think it's a home game for us. We've had the bye week. I think the Vikings should come out and lay this kind of not really a smackdown, but I believe it's going to be a very decisive win. I'm thinking the Vikings are going to score 40 points this week. I'm not sure we're in the 40s, but I think it's in the low 40s somewhere. And I think Kansas City is going to be held to under 20. So I think it's going to be a dominating win. So I'll say 41-17. Vikings win this week.
Wow, 41-17. I heard that before from you, but other way around.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. And it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. But this week, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid this week. I got the shades on, and you know me, I'm probably the guy who takes the biggest punishment for picking against the Vikings. I love them to death, but I'm also a realist at the same time. But this week, blow out Vikings.
Very nice. Wetlander, up to you, big guy.
Well, I'm not as confident as you guys in this one. I mean, I think we're going to win. But until I kind of see this offense really take off and see the passing game take off, I think we're going to win, but I think it's going to be like 24-16, 24-17, where, I think, it's going to be kind of like that Detroit game where, we're in control, but we don't put them away, and, Kansas City is going to be kind of hanging around there, but, we'll go up by a touchdown or 10 points, and, it'll look a little closer than it is, but so I think we win, but it's going to be a little bit of a defensive battle, I think. I don't see us putting up a ton of points, so I'll say 24-16.
All right, I'm the last one on this one here. I'm going to disagree with you, Wet. I think this is the first time we go above 30. I see the Vikings putting up 31, and I see them giving up between 17 and 20. I see like a last, what do you call it, the old prevent defense score by the Chefs. I'm going to say 31-20. Maybe, 20. I'm going 31-20.
Can I step out on a limb here and say this week, I like a bold prediction type of thing?
Sure.
I think our defense and special teams combined 2 touchdowns.
Ooh, that is bold. I can see our defense putting up one. Special teams, call it.
I think Sherrills runs one back, and I think we have a pick six. I think Dirty Harry or someone gets a pick six this week, and I think Sherrills runs one back for a TD.
I can see like a sack, fumble, recovery, run back, pick six is possible. Ooh, Sherrills on a punt return. It would be nice. Wow.
Bring it to the bank on ice, brother.
You do.
Well, speaking of which, about guarantees, OBM, you there, big guy?
Oh, goodness. I know where the hell this is going.
Yeah.
Did you pay for OBM? Did you pay for beer this week?
You know what? I actually did pay for beer this week. I thought I was going to maybe get something in the mail or email or PayPal, but I didn't get an email, a PM from anyone, a little message, a little text message, nothing. I don't know what happened. I bought all my own liquor this week. What's up with that, Bob?
I don't know. I'm waiting. Yeah, GV. Yeah.
I believe I was responsible for Bob this week, and Lockstar was responsible for OBM. Either way, one of you guys, I will pay up. Send me a PayPal account number, and I will send you $1.50 for whatever crap you drank. Maybe $50 for the good stuff. No, but yeah, whatever one I'm responsible for, you send it to me. There will be money deposited in the morning.
Well, that's fine. We trust you, Judy Vike, but here we go. Lockstar, you are being called out to the carpet right now.
Yeah, Lock. I want you to put your van on the line this week, brother.
All right, now we're going to move on to the NFC North discussion. This is we were talking about opponents in our division that we really can't stand. Bears, Packers, Lions. We all know who they are. We all hate them. Well, looking back last week, the Bears upset the Chiefs, our current opponent coming up this weekend. They are playing at Detroit this week. Guys, what is going to happen there?
I think the Lions get their first win this week against Chicago. I think they knock them off, or excuse me, they're at home. The Lions are at home, so I think they're going to knock off Chicago. I talked a few weeks ago about going 0-16. I don't believe that's going to happen this year. So I think the Lions get off the schneid and get their first win this week.
I have to agree with you. I think the Lions beat the Bears, and they beat them up pretty hard. I think they may physically hurt them. OBM, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you look at the NFC North right now, and Packers are 5-0, so obviously that's a team that everyone's chasing. I mean, the Bears are somehow 2-3 now, which is mind-boggling. But I don't see them. I don't see Chicago beating Detroit. I think Detroit gets on the. They get a win this week, and the Bears they're not who anybody thinks they are because they suck. So 2-3 right now. We might be looking at the Bears finishing. If they get 5 wins, 6 wins, I'd be. That's about what they are. They're a 5-6 win team, and Detroit's probably not going to be much better, obviously, with the way they've started. So, really, I mean. The NFC North, I mean, I don't want to throw in the towel yet. Packers are 5-0. It's going to be tough, there's no doubt. But if we can somehow split and get hot and Turner can get this thing figured out, we still got a chance to compete with the Packers, I think. But as far as the Bears in Detroit go, let's just be honest. They're exactly who we think they are right now. They're two very pretty poor teams. So, I see Detroit pulling out the win this week.
Alrighty, Wetlander, up to you.
Yeah, I think Detroit wins. They're both bad teams. Detroit's at home. That the Bears are lucky. They're lucky to be 2-3 right now, and I just don't see them getting much pressure on Stafford this week. And I know he played terrible last week against the Cardinals, but he was getting pressured and hit, and I don't think the Bears can get that kind of pressure on him. I think he's going to have a bounce back game. Caldwell benched him. He's going to respond back with a pretty good game, and I think Detroit's going to win.
All right, so if I can channel my inner Chris Berman, I can go out there and say, so we're all on the Lions this week, right?
Correct.
All righty.
Don't start doing the back thing because I'll disconnect.
Oh, wait.
No, cut that out.
All right, this week the Packers are playing the Chargers, who last week beat up on the Rams, which is a very good game until halftime, until the quarterback for the Rams, Nick Foles, forgot what color uniform his team was wearing and threw the balls to the wrong team numerous times. Packers still look tough. Versus the Chargers at home, I can't say Rodgers doesn't throw interceptions at home anymore. OBM, you can't say it no more either. But we still won. Yep.
He can't say anything about that anymore. Was there two interceptions and one fumble? Yeah.
So he's human now. But I still don't think the Chargers have the defense against the Packers offense. And I don't think the Chargers have the offense to put up against the Packers defense. So I think the Packers probably by 10 easily.
Well, Packers, Chargers this week. Yeah. I mean, Aaron threw a couple interceptions. They didn't quite look as good as they usually do. But, I look at the Chargers every year, and I think, well, this might be the year of Rivers. Rivers is going to go down as one of those quarterbacks. It's just going to be one of those guys you scratch your head at the end of his career and go, how did that guy not win a Super Bowl? There's times that guy just looks absolutely fantastic, and then there's times you look at the Chargers and again you scratch your head. They've had talent over the years, just haven't put it all together. That said, Packers Chargers, I'm gonna go Packers probably by 2 touchdowns this week.
All right, let's go to Wetlander.
Yeah, I think the Packers are going to lose probably 2-3 games this season, but it's not going to be this Sunday. And the Chargers, I think they've got the weapons on offense to kind of hang with Green Bay for a little bit, but I don't see them coming in there and beating Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to end up winning this one by 10, 14 points.
All right.
It seems like a game that Lacey is going to do some damage.
All right, let's head up to Georgia Vike. Your thoughts?
Ditto. No, I think Green Bay. I think this game's gonna be a little bit closer than we thought it was. I think it's been another close first half for Green Bay. Then Aaron Rodgers, being the smug prick that he is, will God, he's good. He's gonna light them up in the second half, and I think they're going to pull him by the middle of the fourth quarter because they're going to be blowing him out so bad. So I think the Packers win big time again this week. I hate to say it, but they're gonna.
What's your idea of big time?
If San Diego scores 12 points, I'll be surprised.
Really?
I think 35-10.
Wow. I can see it too. I really can, but I'm hoping the Chargers put up a little more of a fight for that.
Me too.
Only for entertainment value.
I hear that. There's nothing better than watching the Packers lose.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, this week we are in agreement of all games. We all think the Vikings are going to win. We all think Detroit beat Chicago. And we all think the Packers beat the Chargers. No fun in that.
Let's have anyone got an upset special? I do.
All right. Upset specials, guys. You all in?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Go ahead, GB.
I think this week Cleveland beats Denver. Not by much. I think Cleveland's going to beat Denver.
I had the Raiders last week upsetting them. I really did. I sent you that text.
Yes. Yes.
And I was so close up till like Seabass couldn't kick a field goal, and then he went blocked, and it's like, pick six killed me too.
It sucks when you're sitting there. You look like a genius for like 3 quarters, and all of a sudden you look, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
I know the feeling. What do you got, OBM? Who are you thinking this week?
That's I like that. I could totally see the Broncos losing to the Browns. And the Broncos might be the most overrated. They got a great defense, but I'll tell you what, there was even an article this week on PFT. I don't know if you guys caught it, talking about the Broncos. There's been some rumors they've actually had discussions of benching Peyton Manning, which is amazing considering they're 4-0, 5-0, whatever they are. So. But that's I like that call. But I'm going to go with something different. I'm going to go with Carolina knocking off the Seahawks. Now, I know the Seahawks aren't real good this year, but it's in Seattle where they're pretty much virtually unbeatable. And Carolina's, I believe, undefeated yet. So I think that would be a heck of an upset if that happened. I think Carolina, Cam Newton, maybe Jared Allen has a resurgence, and Carolina shocks everyone and knocks off the Seahawks and puts the Seahawks out of their misery, hopefully.
All righty. Well, Linda, to you.
I'm trying to think of all the matchups we got going this week, and you guys have picked some good ones. You have to kind of throw out the bad teams playing each other.
You thinking Steelers would beat the Cardinals or the Bills would beat the Bengals?
I was going with the Bills-Bengals. I think the Bills, that would be an upset, wouldn't it, if EJ Manuel came in there and knocked off the 5-0 Bengals? I think I'm going to go with that. That's going to be my pick. And I don't think it's going to be more what EJ Manuel does. I think, that LaShawn McCoy is coming back to play. And we know Rex Ryan, he wants to run the ball and play good defense. And Dalton, he's been known for playing really well and then just having these clunker games. And I think it could happen this week. So I'm gonna go Bills over Bengals. They hand them their first loss.
Nice.
I was kind of leaning that way myself, but I'm not going to steal your thunder. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and wow, this is tough. I think Pittsburgh upsets Arizona.
Wow.
Ooh, that's definitely not happening. But yeah, that is a ballsy pick, my friend.
Very good.
I don't see it happening. Arizona right now is on fire, man. I've seen a couple of their games, and the game that Steelers are. Is Vic still playing this week, or is Big Ben back?
Vic's still in there.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not happening. Come on, man.
Hey, you guys.
Martavis Bryant's going to be back though. Long ball, homeboy.
Yeah, the Cardinals, man. The Cardinals are looking good, man. It's early in the season. The Cardinals they're so well coached. I'm starting to be a little bit of a believer in Arians and what they've got going on there. Because when I look at Carson Palmer from a couple years ago, I thought he was done. All of a sudden, he looks like, Tom Brady is circa 2005 or something out there. I don't know what's going on. And Larry Fitzgerald looks good. The defense looks good. Special teams looks good. I mean, that is a solid football team right now, I think. I think they're probably one of the more underrated teams in the league yet. I mean, they're getting some respect, but they're not getting a whole lot of love yet. And look out for the Cardinals, man. I think they're gonna pull some upsets this year yet before it's all said and done.
I think someone's been an Arizona Sun a little bit too long.
Yeah. Any.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That defense is. It just seems like every week they come to play in the special teams, and I am a little biased. I got their fantasy team, the defense on my fantasy team in another league. So,
Well, to be honest,
be a little biased there. Might be a little biased there.
To be honest, any win the Cardinals have is not really an upset. I mean, they're expected to win. They are in that window right now. So, if you want an upset special, that would be them losing.
Absolutely, Bob.
So
there you go, buddy. I like it.
I have to jump on someone else other than you guys who all picked. I went last this week on purpose. Next week I might not go last.
Could be going first.
We can do that. We'll change it up. But I went last week and I didn't want to pick anyone that you guys picked, so I picked my own, and I went with the Steelers in the upset special. Hopefully, they pull it off. That actually helps the Vikings too.
I like it. I think you have a good chance there, Bob. I do. Every team's due for the letdown, and this could be the week. This could be the week that Vic all of a sudden looks like Joe Montana throwing the ball deep. I don't know. I think Pittsburgh, like I was saying, I wasn't just kidding about Martavis Bryant coming back and Antonio Brown. And Vic's still got a cannon for an arm. If you got two deep threats like that, and you got Le'Veon Bell back there, anything can happen.
Well, if you watched the game last week from the Steelers, there, Vic ran the ball one time, late in the fourth. Is he going to run more this week, or are you going to rely more on his arm?
I think he's going to run more because the Arizona secondary is pretty good, but at the same time, I think he's going to count on his arm. I think, Big Ben will be back in another week, or I think a week tops two. But I think he's going to go out there with kind of a bang this week and show what Pittsburgh's really made out of.
All right, guys. I think that wraps it up. Let's raise our glasses. I'm still killing my second Long Island iced tea.
I got to give a shout out here this week.
Shout away.
There's a group on Facebook called Minnesota Viking Fans in Atlanta. Now, I was talking to the gal who runs. Her name's Alex, and she said they put our podcast on there weekly, and people down here will listen to it. They got a pretty big group of people getting together weekly down here, about 30 people or so, they get together for the Vikings game at local bars in the Atlanta area. They got a big tailgate going on when the Vikings play out here on the 29th, Thanksgiving weekend. So I'm going to, give a shout out to Alex, and her for allowing us to post it on there. And I'll give updates, sending those guys over there listening on the tailgate coming up here in a few weeks.
Very nice. Actually, you know what? Since we're on shout-outs, I really want to give a shout-out to a special guest tonight, Wetlander, who came on at the last minute because our original guest backed out at the last minute. And we don't really want to go on the show without a guest. And
absolutely,
this guy stepped up. Wetlander, we owe you big time, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Wet. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Hey, Wetlander, by the way, thanks for kicking my fantasy team's ass.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, if you want,
payback's a bitch in the playoffs, buddy. Payback's a bitch.
Who's the man, the myth, the legend now?
That would be me. I beat Wetlander. I beat Wetlander.
that went over Fano, though. I think that was my favorite, just because I have a whole bunch of matchups and pictures all lined up and right up.
Drinking beers all night long, listening to those devil sounds. Beers and moose, so I sing. Rocky rebels, come to me. We will have some fun tonight. Drinking, stewing, that's alright. Giving all the best you got. Bring another horny slug.